Okay. All right, we're live here with Francesco from Italy, our special guest, Daily.dev, and Francesco is also going to be in our Miami event, second annual ETH Miami event on October
Spoiler.
27th. So looking forward for that. And Francesco, you've been involved in Web3 education arena like for so long, and we're just excited not only to have you here, for you to share about how to teach people in Web3, but also for you to be actual mentor in Miami in October to help our developers create a better product and just mentor teams. So you can pretty much, take the floor and present on what you feel comfortable, what you think will bring more value to our hackers and developers, and just take this stage. And we're just looking forward for your presentation.
Thank you so much, Andre. So, hi everyone. I'm Francesco, developer advocate at Daily.dev, but also Docker captain, public speaker, community builder, Twitter addicted, we could say, and also make videos on YouTube. And this is how we met, Andre, because I went to ETH Denver. And while I was doing a time lapse of the event, someone stopped me like, "Hey, Francesco," and basically he stopped me, and we decided that basically could participate in. So this is perfect to burst one stone to visit this city. I heard good things about that. So yes, so we will meet again in person in October, and we are here today because I want to share more about how you can learn Web3 and blockchain technologies. Based on my personal experience, I've interviewed a lot of people on my YouTube channel. It's a bit strange for me to being the guest instead of the host, but yes, so I think that Web3 and blockchain is a fascinating world that has a lot of great potential. So let's get started, Andrew. I'm excited.
All right, so I'm basically making you the host, and it's just whenever you need me to share the screen, just tell. Otherwise, it's pretty much your floor. You're doing the presentation, and I'm like removing myself from the stream.
Yes, absolutely. We can also go like that. Perfect. Nice. So let me share the screen. Hi, everyone. If you are there, you can also say hi. Share my screen. Nice. Present. Okay, present. Nice. So this is a presentation that I made some months ago, but it's still valid. And so let's start. And I want to tell you how you can learn Web3 technologies. And again, I'm Francesco. This is a book because I was doing a conference. As you can see, here is the YouTube channel. I'm also the Docker captain. I'm very active also on Discord, and I make many videos about Web3. If you go on my YouTube channel, the pinned video, or you can type how to learn Web3, there is also a video version of what I will talk about today. Nice. So how to learn Web3 and blockchain technologies? Because every time we want to learn something new, especially as developers, we have this issue like, okay, I want to learn something. I don't know. I want to learn React. I want to learn Docker. Where to start? Where is a good place where I can just get an idea if I'm interested? So there is always this phase when I say, I don't know. So where to start? There are different ways, but I think that a great way to start is to go on FreeCodeCamp and check this article by Nader Debit. I also met him there in Croatia last year, an amazing person. So what is Web3, the decentralized internet of the future explained? This is a great article, and by the way, we can also put some links in the description of the video. So this is the article that I will start from. Okay. Nice. And then there is this roadmap. So with roadmap, without roadmap, to be honest, I am not a huge fan of roadmaps. Usually when I learn something, I prefer like to check an article, check a video, and then move on. But many people every day they ask me, like, Francesco, please, what is a good roadmap? How can we learn this? So this presentation itself, it's a roadmap to learn Web3 technologies. But of course, I want to give credit to one of the Web3 developer advocates of Alchemy. Vito is also Italian as me, like me, and he has this complete Web3 and Solidity development roadmap. I think he also has a new version, but this is very complete roadmap if you want, because there are so many technologies in blockchain that you can get lost. You can miss something which might be very important. So this is something that I really suggest to learn. Nice. But now let's see which are the steps. I will not give many definitions in the presentations, because the goal of this presentation is just to list all the things that we should learn, and this will take a while. So I think I will start with what I call blockchain fundamentals, and then you can see here there are many, like, for example, the difference between Web 1, Web 2, and Web 3. What is a blockchain? In my video, there are all the links that gives you maybe the best resource. But this is like the concepts. And then what is a distributed ledger, and some basics about crypto. Just let me say here that Web3 and blockchain is not crypto. Crypto is a currency that can help, but you don't even have to be an expert in the blockchain if you want just to trade crypto. That's another word. Some people tend to think that they are the same thing, but they are not. There is also this concept, this revolution in Web3, which is about wallets. Which are basically where you can store the identity. So there's something like called MetaMask or Phantom. There are different things, but this is a new concept in Web3. Even if you are expert in, for example, backend technologies, you don't know what they are. Block explorers, it's an important thing that I would understand as soon as possible. It's basically a way to check everything which is on the blockchain. So they are sort of like, say, search engine, and there are many of them, and also for different blockchains. Another important concept is blockchain oracles. Blockchain oracle. When I started to learn about blockchain, I said, okay, how can I interact with the blockchain? I don't know. I call an API. I create a service. Blockchains, natively, they don't interact with the existing web. So if there wasn't a way to connect them with the existing World Wide Web, it would be very hard for the blockchain to just replace all the existing technologies. But there's something called oracles. Chainlink is one of them, which is a decentralized oracle that allows us to interact with the blockchain with a sort of API. So it's a way to connect the blockchain with the existing World Wide Web. And then an introduction to NFTs. NFTs are not just the JPEGs that probably you saw everywhere last year, but it's more about a concept. So it's called non-fungible token. Let me show you my t-shirt. Perfect. This is the an OpenSea t-shirt, which is an NFT marketplace. And then an introduction to DAO, which stands for Decentralized Autonomous Organization, just some concepts. And then what is a smart contract, and an introduction to DApp, decentralized apps. Oh, I love this slide. It took me like 4 hours to create all these logos in white. When we talk about Web3, there is not like just one option, but there are many blockchains, as you can see, and of course they are not all here, but we need to choose. I would suggest to don't try to learn every blockchain at the same time. It will be like if we wanted to learn, I don't know, how to create an API with different languages at the same time. I would start with one, and then once you understand one of them, you can move on multi-blockchain logic and implementation. So I would recommend to start with Ethereum. Ethereum is probably the most famous one, but I think in this case, being mainstream is a good thing, because it's probably you'll have a much better help from the community. It has a more solid ecosystem, good documentation. What I like the most is this one. There are more unbiased resources, because every blockchain they say that they are the best, the fastest one, the cheapest one, but of course it's on their documentation and what they say. Instead, with Ethereum, it's so wide and well known that there are some people who just make some unbiased tutorials. They can say this is good, this is bad, but I like unbiased resources. Also, this presentation is unbiased. There are no sponsors behind. It's all based on my personal experience. Now, every blockchain has some concepts that are specific on that blockchain, on that specific blockchain. Sorry. So, and here we can list some of them. We'll be fast here, but there are something like the concept of account on Ethereum, of a transaction, what is a block, what is the EVM, which stands for Ethereum Virtual Machine. So this is something, of course, only for Ethereum, but many blockchains, they are based on the Ethereum virtual machine, the concept of gas, the clients, node node providers. They're not listed here. And yes, and this is also a bit outdated, because the merger happened, which is basically has been an event that happened, I think, in September 2022. So basically, the consensus algorithm of the blockchain changed from proof of work to proof of stake. There are whole concepts that you can check, but here we will go fast. Nice. There are some concepts that, depending on how much you want to go in depth, you might be interesting to read and to no, there are articles. So there is something called Ethereum white paper, and this basically there is all the concepts of how Ethereum works. This has been written by Vitalik Buterin, which is the creator of Ethereum. Then there is also the a concept called the Ethereum trilemma. Trilemma is basically when you have three choices, and basically you can't have all three of them. It's like having a service quick, cheap, and good. It's like you can have two of them, but it's hard to have all three of them. It's the same idea, but for the blockchains, a trilemma is between the decentralization of the blockchain, how much the blockchain is secure, and how much the blockchain is scalable. Another article you can check, it's an article called Endgame by Vitalik Buterin. And then there is also this one, which is called Yellow Paper. Yellow Paper, it is more like a math explanation. So it's more for math fans and for people who really want to go in depth on, like, okay, how does the Ethereum work, like from a math point of view. Nice. Then when after we choose a blockchain, okay, so we choose a blockchain, then we should choose a language. And the language can be, there are many of them. And we have for Ethereum, Viper and Solidity, and there is also Rust. So for example, in the previous slides, you choose Solana, you can go with Rust. I'm also becoming a fan of Rust, and then we will see. But for now, let's say the choice will be between Viper and Solidity. Viper is more for Python developers, and Solidity is for Python and JavaScript developers. So, in my opinion, I think a great way to start and a good programming language to start is the Solidity programming language. You can go, there are very good documentation, and Solidity is basically an object-oriented programming language. It's inspired by C++, Python, and JavaScript, and At the first glance, it almost seems like JavaScript, but it's not. For example, you can see here, yes, you can see here, there is this keyword, which is contract, which I really like, which is basically a class, but this shows how Solidity is a language focused on creating smart contracts on the Ethereum virtual machine. Nice. There are many resources about Solidity, and this is an advantage because you can find many of them. And I tried most of them also during live streams on my YouTube channel. I'll list them very fast. The Remix IDE is a browser-based IDE, which I think is great because it's setting up a local environment for a blockchain. It's not that easy. There are something that you need to connect to a network. You need a wallet. You need the Solidity compiler. So you can do this locally. I tried, but it's not very easy. It's not very easy. So the Remix IDE is something that I would suggest to check. Solidity docs, as I mentioned. Solidity cheat sheet. I think I created one very good cheat sheet, and I also share it from time to time, and also have updated versions. There are some online tutorials that you can try. I tried all three of them. All the things that I recommend is something that I tried in person. Crypto Zombies, it's a great one. It's basically you'll create a sort of game-based, so it's also funny to do. Learn Web3 tutorials, they are really amazing. And then there is also this is the new one, Alchemy University, that started at the end of 2022. There are also some videos that you can try. This is not sponsored, but just some channels that I like. There is this DAP University, that his name is Gregory. This is smart contract programmer, very straight to the point videos. And then here at the top, you can see this guy, and he has 16 video of Solidity blockchain smart contracts for Python developers. You see the Python logo here, and this is a 32 hour course on FreeCodeCamp from JavaScript. Of course, we don't do this in 2 days. It took me like 3 months, but absolutely. There are also there are so many tools and frameworks you can easily get lost, but I highly recommend to check, or at least you should know that all these frameworks exist. So there is MetaMask, as I said, which is a wallet. There is, and all these four of these are frameworks that you can use to deploy and create smart contracts locally. There is Truffle, Hard Hat. I think it's my favorite one currently is the Hard Hat. And then there is also this Brownie, which is more for Python developers, and Foundry, which is more, say, Solidity oriented. It's also done in Solidity. Nice. I have a good news. If you are a front-end developer, to connect to a blockchain, you can just use some libraries, and then basically all the front end for the blockchain Web3 front end developers, it's basically the same. You can use React to interact with Ethereum. How can you do that? You can just install a single library, a single package. So you don't have to install all of them, but I just wanted to put here some options. So I highly recommend to check all of them. Web3.js, Ethers, I think I misheard here, Ethers.js, and it's also this Alchemy Web3 API and React Moralis if you want to use React. I want to mention very fast that also there are some technologies based on how we can keep the data on these decentralized applications, and there is IPFS, Rwave, and Filecoin. IPFS is like the based one. Filecoin is based on IPFS. So this is just to mention them, so you can check them. And then there are some mid-level tools. Say it doesn't mean that they are necessarily hard. It's the opposite. They can make your life easier. But I always recommend to start using them once you understand some basics. So of course there are some testing tools, testing frameworks, Waffle and Ganache. Sometimes they're also included in some of the frameworks I mentioned before. OpenZeppelin is amazing. They have an open source repository, and basically they help you by having some let's say crafted smart contracts you can use. Wallet Connect can help you really to create a smart contract, and it's based on the identity. So it's a sort of wallet. It gives you an ID. It works well on mobile. Chainlink, if I told you before that there was something called oracles, basically to connect the blockchain with the web. And then the graph. I don't have the t-shirt now, but the graph is basically a way to interact with a blockchain using a sort of GraphQL interface. So if you're familiar with GraphQL, you will find this really mind-blowing. It's great to have like an interface that we know to interact with a blockchain. They create something called the subgraph, and then you can interact with that one. Nice. There are some SDKs, software development kits, that you can use to start faster when you want to create a smart contract or interact with the blockchain. Usually I put this at the end and not at the beginning, because you can, I would highly recommend to use something after you understand how they work. You can check Alchemy, Third Web, and also Moralis. All of three are valid. Nice. But the best way to create something is to get our hands dirty. So building projects it's a great idea, and I highly recommend to check soliditybyexample.org where basically you can find some inspirations. Here I highly recommend to go here. There are some. This is just the beginning of the page, and you can check some existing projects. Nice. And after this, I would just like to give you some advice, which is not just for Web3, but I highly recommend, if you want to learn the blockchain, is to build in public. So don't wait to become an expert, because also this world is evolving very fast. So building in public is a great thing that you can do, and is basically, I highly recommend to create content, create articles, videos, show you doing something, I don't know, try some of the tutorials that I said before. So don't wait to become an expert, but start creating and building things publicly. And as a last tip, I would say that it's very important when we are learning to don't be alone. So joining a community can be a great thing that you can do. And you can check, for example, Developer DAO, Learn Web3 DAO. This is an amazing community. And also this 4C community, which is the community I built. And we have a project called Free Web3 Resources. If you check Free Web3, it should be one of the first, if not the first, result on Google. And we basically are creating something focused on the Web3 world in this 4C community. 4C stands for Cool Community of Content Creators. This presentation will be available, of course, and I am done. So this was the presentation. Andrei, I am done with the presentation.
Okay, thanks a lot.
How was it?
Yes, so that's a very good entry point for people who want to kind of start from like very fresh, and that's, I think, even geared more towards, I would say, like maybe Web2 developers. That's how I think your target audience, and we have actually quite a few of those people who joined us for the first annual event last April. And I would say we had like 30-40% of the Web2 developers who actually need this information. So, and the rest is more like advanced people who just building, right? I would say 60-70% of people who join Hackathon that we're going to have in October will be experienced developers. But this information is very much needed for the rest of this 30-40% who would be joining as the, I would say, beginner levels that just want to get their feet wet in this Web3. And I think that's a great resource for them. I would say is just for them to save the time rather than just explore and spend 3-4 months. They would probably like get to communities like that you build yourself, and you will just save them like several months upfront. So that's why they should be joining.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. This was the idea of this presentation, is to have a place where we can not like don't get lost, maybe, because maybe we can miss some of these things. Like for me, it took a while to just put them all together. So and it's like in less than 20 minutes, you have at least you have mentioned them all. I've also created some lists, and everything, as I said, it's unbiased. It's just, I think we really need in Web3 something that unbiased opinions, and say like, okay, this is worth learning, because otherwise we'll get overwhelmed. Like we were like in Denver, there are like so many people, of course, so many things that maybe they're valid, they are not. Of course, once you are an expert, you already know what to do, what not to do. But yes, so I hope that
how
you
would you
enjoy it.
describe your average follower who join your community to kind of get this information? How would you describe this person? Like Web2 developer and stuff like that. What would we say?
It depends. There are different people, and some of them, of course, they are beginner. Usually, there are people who maybe they started the learning alone and then they get lost. So this is like something that happens, because maybe I don't know. Maybe they tried the tutorial and then they said, okay, I didn't get it, or maybe that's okay, but then I don't know how to go forward. So this is probably, I don't know. I don't know all of them, but many people are curious to learn. Maybe they even want to create some content, or they want to start creating their career in Web3. So this is like, I think, I don't know. I don't know all of them, but this is like from my opinion.
Gotcha. And to wrap things up, so you come in as the mentor to Miami in October. What would be your like suggestions, ideas for the people who will be joining, either beginners or maybe more advanced, the hackathon? What's your advice to the hackathon participants, and maybe some like words of wisdom?
Yeah. So I'm preparing another presentation, so we can also make another episode if you want, because I'll be a speaker in a couple of months for to have and I'll make a presentation about Web3 and social media, for example. I think that what we really need is some valid use case for Web3 and blockchain technologies, and one might be the social media part. So there is something called Lens Protocol, the Lenster, so you can check that. And I highly recommend maybe to check the documentation, see how you can get started. I'll probably make even, I don't know, some live demo. So trying to understand how the blockchain can be used, and not by just creating an NFT project, which can also be valid, but I think we should explore some ways to implement and trying to understand how they work. So this is probably something that which is worth it. I think it might also be funny to create like a social media app, for example. I think it's a great exercise, and it's also cool to create, even if alone or with some of your friends.
Okay, cool. And so just to kind of remind that we have ETH Miami second annual event this October. It's October 27th. Just go to our website, ethmiami.net, register. Francesco is joining us as mentor, and we're looking forward for that. So he's going to be mentoring at the hackathon to help you create better project. And we're looking forward to see you guys all. And Francesco, we're looking forward to meet you like in person again.
Absolutely. I think that participating in a hackathon is a great opportunity to accelerate this process, because when we want to learn something, it's like I come from the sports world. So it's like until you don't make a real match, you don't have an idea of how hard the things. There is a lot of theory, some examples, hello world, tutorials, but once you try really to get some good ideas. And also what I really like about hackathons is that you have to basically become better at explaining something. So showcasing something, it's a skill, showcasing something. So it's not just build, but of course in a group there's also someone who present your idea. So just if you have your idea but it's here in your mind, nobody's never gonna ask you. It's very important, I think, that participating in a hackathon can change your career and even your life. So I highly recommend to come out at Miami. Of course, we'll take a selfie together and we'll post it on social media.
All right, great. Yes, and thanks everybody for joining. And I think, yeah, that's